Buenos dias, ¿cómo estás? And welcome back to Chateau de Timome. And you're probably wondering why I'm speaking in Spanish, but it's because this year in this holiday season, I decided to do a Mexican themed menu. I'm bringing it all down from Italy across the ocean and all down to Mexico. And this was influenced by my travel to New York earlier this year, where I experienced an around abundance of a lot of Mexican cuisine and Mexican restaurants. And it was some of the best food I ever had, so I said, why not try to make it myself? But the dish today is very heavily Mexican inspired and Mexican influenced, and it is called a Dulce de Tres Leches. And I'm going to pair it with Platanos y Cerezas, and I hope that I said that correctly because I'm not the best, but I tried a thing or two. But yes, this is going to be one of the dishes on my menu. By the time that I shared this, the holiday season would have passed. You would have probably already seen the dish and seen the menu. But hey, better late than never, right? So I'm just going to be walking through the process of how I conceptualize the dish. It's basically a sponge cake soaked in 3 types of milk. And then I'm going to do a banana and cherry compote with it. And they usually top it with whipped topping, but I want to do a more cream cheese type topping, and we'll see how everything comes out in the end. As you can see, I have all my ingredients on the table, even some ingredients I don't need because I originally was going to do 2 desserts in one, but I said to myself, you know what, I can't give away too much, not too much. So I was going to do the coconut flan and then the dulce de tres leches, but I decided I'm just going to do the Dulce de Tres Leches instead because I feel like it has a lot more components that I can show you. So what we have here is I've already separated my egg yolks from my egg whites. So I'm going to mash some banana and add it to this as well. And then I'm going to add the other ingredients like the sugar, the spices, the salt, and just give this a whip. And then I'm going to hand whip my meringue for the folding of the sponge cake. I guess you're probably wondering, why don't I just put it in a mixer? But I feel like when I'm learning new cuisine, I like to learn everything from a basic level and get a more intimate feel of everything. Like I like the labor element of learning something new as well because it builds a level of appreciation. So again, like last video, I'm not gonna bore you with all of this stuff. I'm just gonna do probably a time lapse of me mixing up everything, and then we'll get into more conversation. But you have the basics of what I'm doing. So this is essentially what your base batter is going to look like. So just a little walkthrough. I added coconut essence, vanilla essence to the egg yolks. I added some melted butter, added some white sugar, a pinch of salt just to extract that additional flavor, some powdered ginger, some powdered ground spice, and some powdered cinnamon. I did some flour as well as a hint of alcohol. I have no idea what this brand is, but I just wanted a small one and this is what they had. If you're familiar with this, let me know, but I have no idea. I just know it's brown rum. I don't know where it's from. It's from St. Lucia, but I don't know the origins of it to give you like a backstory. But I added that as well. I might miss anything. I added crushed bananas you would have seen. And yeah, this is gonna be the base batter, and then we're gonna whip our egg whites until they get stiff peaks, and then we're gonna fold that in with the spatula and then get that into the oven. And then from there, I'm going to show you how to make the compote and the cream cheese topping. And then we're going to layer everything and make everything look nice. Now you guys would have seen that very intense whipping. So as you can see, it is nice and stiff, right? And the peaks are coming through. So just a little more whipping left, but essentially you see the process. So the peaks are coming there, and that part is just about finished. So then I'm going to show you the folding aspect of folding the meringue into our batter. So here we are at our folding stage. So I like to fold mine in stages because the whole point is not to over it or under it, you know. So you just do a light fold, making sure that everything gets in there. So I like to do it almost in like a figure 8, you know, so that it all folds in, but not to the extreme of overly folding. So you know, it's just a nice light fold, and once you get that first set in, you're folding a second set and keep going from there. So just a nice figure 8 fold with your spatula, making sure you get the egg whites in there. And don't mind if it's not like completely emulsified in it, you know, like, because you still want the egg whites to do their job with raising it and giving it a nice body and fluffy texture. So once you get to that stage, you can add in some more, and I like doing about 3 or 4 stages. So just to make sure that you get everything in nicely and not over whipping too much. So yeah, I ain't gonna show you this entire thing. I'm not gonna fold in this entire thing, but you get the idea of the folding technique, you know. So all mixed in, and that is what your final batter should look like. You see that nice foamy texture? That means that that's gonna rise up really well, and you know, it's gonna give you a nice soft fluffy sponge. And then when you soak it with your 3 milk mixture, it's going to soak very nice but still have a nice soft texture. So I'm happy that it came out as expected without any bloopers. So from here, I'm just gonna put it in the pan. Actually, let me do that right now. So this is my pan, and I sprayed it with pan spray. I love pan spray. It's like a perfect non-stick agent. You don't have to do much with it, and it doesn't affect flavor too much either. So I've already sprayed my pan, and I'm gonna add the batter, and probably add it like, you know, 2/3 full. I do think that this is gonna be more batter than I anticipated. See, so I'm probably just gonna do it like 2/3 full because I don't want it coming over the pan, and then the rest I'm gonna put in a smaller pan just for, you know, keepsake, and put them in the oven, and then we go from there. So this is essentially our final product, and you don't want to do too much, you know, licking around. Just a light tap, make sure that it's almost even, and then into the oven we go. So the sponge cake is gonna bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 190 degrees Celsius, for about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on its thickness. And while that is doing, I'll be preparing my banana and cherry compote, Platanos y Cerezas, if I said that correctly. And what I'm going to do is essentially let that stew down to a thickness, and I'm going to add some spices, a little bit of rum, and some vanilla essence, and again a hint of salt, because for me, salt extracts flavor in sweet dessert. have our banana and cherry compote. Platanos y Cerezas compote. So I'm just gonna let that thicken up because I want something that is a nice thick consistency that doesn't do too much running on top of the sponge cake. And while this is thickening, I'm going to make the cream cheese topping for the dessert. And then for a cream cheese mixture, I'm going to add sugar to our cream cheese and my spices. Some ground ginger, some cinnamon, pinch of salt, vanilla essence. And as you can tell, I like to flavor everything individually because I feel like if you were to take away one or two elements of it, it should all have flavor. So like if I wanted to just eat the compote by itself or eat the cream cheese by itself, I feel like everything should have its own flavor and then it all merges together. As opposed to if you take away the cake, then everything else is bland. Or if you take away the cream cheese, then the cake doesn't have the necessary flavor that it should. So I like to make sure that everything has its own unique flavor and then it all blends and merges together, as opposed to something not being flavored correctly and then off-puts the entire dish. So that's why you see me using the same ingredients in everything. And see, that's our cream cheese mixture. And it's not runny, it has a nice consistency, so it's going to spread very well. And that completes all the components of the dish. So our sponge cake is finally out of the oven, and look at that texture. It's so nice and it springs back lovely and it has a nice rise. So I'm happy with the turnout, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in the fridge to cool, and then we're going to take it out and decorate it, and then I'll show you the finished product. I have my 3 milks, condensed milk. Sunsweet is a favorite here, so I love Sunsweet. Coconut, snow cones, and Sunsweet milk. That's the best thing on earth, especially in the summer. Then I'm gonna do vanilla milk. Then I'm going to do evaporated milk. And that should cover our mixture to pour on top of our sponge cake when it's finished. Look at our cake. It's finally done. So I'm just going to pour the milk over it and put it in the fridge and let it set. And then I'm just going to decorate the top of it. So we just want to pour. I don't mind if a little run, but I don't want it too runny. It's nice and absorbent, which is great. So I'm just gonna pour the milk over it and let that absorb. Don't mind any spillage, that's fine. And then I'm just gonna rustle it around at the bottom so that the base could get some absorption. And there we go. Now I'm just gonna let it set. Let me just wipe there. My OCD be kicking in, sorry. But I'm just gonna let it set in the fridge for about an hour or so, and then we're gonna put on our toppings and everything will look nicely, and then I'm gonna shoot the final product and everything, and we're on the right track. now I present to you my Dulce de Tres Leches con Platanos y Cerezas. And I think that it came out beautifully. I didn't have any errors or difficulty creating it. And I think it's going to look very good on my dessert table.